In this video, we're going to have a look at test cables. If you have a look at any multimeter or any power supply, you're going to see these fancy little holes here. These are called binding posts, and they're the cornerstone of making test equipment easy to use. Binding posts work like this. If you unscrew the cap of a binding post, you're going to see this hole. That hole is so that if you take a stripped piece of wire and pass it through the hole, you can clamp it down. And this way, you've got a good electrical connection. But not all of them have that capacity to do this. All of them do, however, have this fancy hole in the top. And that's because of these little fellas. This is a banana plug, and it fits into the binding post. It's an easy way of getting a good electrical connection between a test cable and a piece of test equipment. Now, there is a standard for binding posts. That standard is that they're spaced 19 mil apart. But enough about binding posts. Let's have a look at these banana plugs. That's where the fun part starts. To make a test cable, you probably want to use a banana plug rather than using the stripped wire through hole method. Banana plugs come in all different shapes and colors, but not sizes. The end of the banana plug is always the same. Some banana plugs have a stackable element so that you can take one banana plug and plug in another banana plug. This one is also stackable, and plug in another banana plug and plug in another banana plug. And each banana plug can have their own wire hanging out of it. In this case, the wire comes out of this little hole or this little hole. When you assemble a banana plug, you should always use stranded or multi-core wire. The very first thing I'm going to do is tin up my wire. If there is a cowling for your banana plug, take your cowling and put it on the wire first. I only buy cowlings that can fit retrospectively, so that it's not a problem. But if you have cowlings for your banana plugs, make sure you put the cowling on the wire first. These ones are my favorite. If you buy a better quality one, this either doesn't move or has a very good connection. Open the banana plug and take out the connector. This gives you the cowling and the connector. And what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to solder the wire here, tin here, heat up the spot. It takes a fair while to heat up because there's a pretty big thermal mass here to heat. But once it's heated, it's going to hold its heat for a long time. There we are. That's hot enough now. Once I've got that heated up enough, that wire is going to pass through that hole. Wait a moment for it to cool down. Still cooling. There we are. That's cool enough. Take your side cutters and trim off the other side. Again, that's got a pretty big thermal mass. You want to try and get that little bit of wire off as much as you can. Probably the better thing to do is to cut the piece of wire a little bit shorter than what's needed to start with. You don't need a long connection there. And this is why I really like this type of connection. I'm going to let this cool for a little bit before I touch it. And this is really why I like this particular type. If I fold back that wire there and pass it into the cowling, the little cover, and push it in, clamps in, and sits nicely. Now, it's the other end of the cable that gets really interesting. There are a boatload of whoozimy whatsits and thingamajigs that you can put on a test cable. There are these little things. They're called alligator clips, and you can see that they sort of look like an alligator clip. Arr, 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 arr. Also an alligator clip, but a different type. Also an alligator clip. And that one has been jammed shut. Oh no, it's okay, it's moving. Needle probes. This type of clip, they go by a dozen different names. They're called hook clips or beak clips or parrot clips or wire clamps. Whatever they're called, I like to call them parrot clips. And you can see there's different sizes and different lengths and different amount of shielding. They can be damaged if you put a big piece of wire in there and bend this hook at the end. You can damage that clip. And mostly once that little hook gets damaged, they're beyond repair. And then there's a whole bunch of other type of ones. So this is a little one that I made up that goes into breadboard, and I made it up so it's got a little bit of cable relief on this strip board here. You can see that the multi-core cable just goes through and it's just held by some holes in the strip board, and I've made this so that as I damage these ends, I can cut that and trim it back, and if I need, I can resolder on a new piece at the end without having to replace the whole cable. Or maybe there's other types that you can make up. This is also to go into a power rail of breadboard, and you know, I can't even remember why I made this one up. But I'm going to put on this alligator clip. Remember, you've got to put the cowling on first. Seems to go that way, so it goes on the cable that way. I've tinned my wire, so I'm going to put a little bit of tin down on here so that you can, and it's just going, I'm just going to solder it in here. You could just get a pair of pliers and cramp down this onto the cable and get a reasonable electrical connection. In fact, that's what a lot of manufacturers seem to do, but you're always going to get a better electrical connection if you solder this down. So I'm going to start by putting a little bit of solder down here. Same as the other thing, it's a fairly big thermal mass, so I'm just going to put down a bit. Oh, not enough. Bit more. I can't see what that is, so I hope it's long enough, and I hope it's, yep, that's good. When you lay down the solder, you need to be careful that you don't get the solder stuck into the spring mechanism of your alligator clip. Then I'm going to pass the wire through, solder that down, the wire through, solder it down into that blob of solder, and that's looking pretty good there. Now if you wanted to go a little bit further, you could clamp that down and then have a nice, parrot clips are the same. You're going to have to take the cap off, put the cap onto the wire like that, and make sure it's round the right way. And then pull that down. Of course, I haven't soldered that, but you get the idea. Push it in, you get a connection like that. Now, if you wanted to make one of these fancy ones, you need a piece of strip board that's wide enough, and it's got to be wide enough that you've got, two tracks side by side, and you need to drill a hole here and a hole here, and then a hole here and a hole here. Something like this. The holes just have to be wide enough to pass your cable through. Something like that. And the cable has to go in one side, out the other, and then in the other side. Come on, you can do it. In the other side. Maybe a little bit more. Something like that. Solder that down, and we'll just go there, and solder that down, and if there was another cable, we would just solder it in beside it. And then from here, if you had a piece of solid core wire, you could put down a little bit of solder at the end. Oh, let's see if I can get in it around the camera, and then solder that down like that. Solder that down like that, and so this way that can go in a breadboard, and well, you can replace this at a later time if need be. Well, there you go. Everything you need to know about test leads. Go test something.